the MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.
What's up, all my mixed martial arts gamblers out there? The teller checking in. So you already know it's fight week. We got UFC 238 on the horizon. Get the main event, Henry Cejudo taking on Marlon Moraes. Exciting main event. You know, Henry's just been consistently shocking the world. You know, defeats Mighty Mouse, then goes out, knocks out TJ Dillashaw within seconds. You know, taking on Marlon Moraes, a guy that trains with the best of fighters, man. Frankie Edgar, Eddie Alvarez. The guy's stand-up just seems to be on another level when he's in there with these guys. So, definitely excited for that fight. We got Tony El Cucuy Ferguson taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, that fight has all the makings to be a super exciting fight. You know, Cowboy has just... He's been going in there as of recently and just, you know, exceeding anyone's expectations, you know. I mean, if you check the lines on his last three fights, I mean, you know, consistently just an underdog, but just has been going in and just dominating these guys. So, you know, and then Tony Ferguson, what more to say about that guy, man? Just an absolute beast. Just continues to go in there and win fights. You know, tears ligaments in his knees, comes back within fucking weeks. It's ridiculous. But overall, the card it's a good card. You know, we got some good fights to look forward to. You know, before we get into any of that, let's take a look back at last week. We had UFC Fight Night 153. You know, really just not the most productive card. You know, as you guys are used to hearing me say, coming off another profitable weekend, man. We went on a hell of a run, you know, these last couple weeks. You know, unfortunately, I can't say the same thing coming off this past week. You know, I had a bad feeling about this card from the get-go, and my gut feeling was correct because I knew I was trying to find, you know, some plays here and there, but realistically, I knew there were some traps on this card, and there was going to be a lot of wild things happening, and just a lot of these fights were hard to call. Overall, you know, my overall picks were not the best. When it came to my betting picks that I had money on that I recommended to you guys, you know, check my Cap Protect, my third-party track picks, I went 1 for 1. You know, how many of these cappers can say that? You know, on an off night for me, I go 1 for 1. You know, look at some of these other guys, some of the big names. You guys know who I'm talking about. These guys are going 0 for 3 on the night. So, you know, like I said, 1 for 1. I had Alexander Rakic, who just, you know, that was my big 6-unit play, posted on Instagram. Guy's an absolute beast. Just goes out there. What a fucking setup for that head kick. Just completely kills Jimmie. You know, I don't remember the last time I saw a guy laid out in the octagon where I was genuinely concerned about this guy's health. Man, I thought this guy might have been dead, you know, and you know, retired him with that kick. So, you know, as I stated last week, man, I said keep an eye out for this guy Rakic. You know, everyone's talking about Johnny Walker. I think Rakic is the guy you need to watch out for. This guy's more polished. He's not as wild. I think this guy, you know, he's going to be the truth, and he'll be fighting for the belt pretty soon. So I hit that bet. You know, my other bet that I took that I did not hit was the Damir Hasnovic. You know, what can I say? I mean, Christos Giagos, I was worried that, you know, Christos would get the takedowns. I thought that'd be the only way I would lose that fight if Damir wasn't able to stuff the takedowns. That really was not the case. Yes, Christo did get some takedowns in there, but, you know, Damir was able to get back to his feet multiple times, and, you know, there was plenty of time that this fight took place in the feet. Damir was gassed out pretty much instantly. His strikes looked so labored. He looked absolutely horrible in there. So, you know, I would never, ever have money on a guy like Damir again. You know, I pretty much, he's on my checklist, man. That's it. You know, like, I won't have any money on a guy like that who just drops the ball. It's one thing if you lose, but the way that he lost that fight. So, you know, as I stated, 1 for 1, you know, big deal. So that's how the teller does it. I mean, let's look up and down this card. Lena Landsberg shocked the world. I knew to stay away from that fight. You know, I heard people parlaying Tanya Evinger. You know, I thought Tanya might, you know, take her down. She should win that fight, but I didn't want to have any type of money on that fight. Stayed away from that. Leonardo Santos, man, he looked good in there. I don't care how old that guy is, man. That guy he's a beast. You know, and doesn't really have a lot of mileage on him either. So, you know, keep an eye on him even at his age. Frank Camacho, man, looked great in there. Nick Hine looked horrible. You know, I was a little disappointed in the Darko Stosic fight. You know, I thought that was Stosic's fight to win. Devin Clark, you know, he brought it to him. And, you know, he won that fight fair and square. It was a close fight, but, yeah, he won that fight 29-28. So, you know, overall, it was a pretty cool card over there in Stockholm, Sweden. Alexander Gustafsson, you know, the biggest news in the card. he retires, man. And he didn't look good in that fight. Even though he was winning those beginning rounds, he was running away and he was just throwing these little pitter-patter punches. It seemed as if he was just waiting for that fight to end, where Anthony Smith was he was in there to fight and he was taking his time and he was throwing haymakers and he was waiting for that right opportunity to capitalize and finish Gustafsson. And he did, man. The black belt in jiu-jitsu, man, he got the fight to the mat and, he did some really excellent work, man. Took his back, got the rear naked choke. And Gustafsson, he handed the gloves over. He's retiring, so shout out to Gustafsson for putting on some of the most amazing fights that I've ever seen in the octagon. His fight with John Jones, his first fight, probably one of the, if not the best light heavyweight bout that I've ever seen. So props to Gustafsson. It's a shame he really never got to hold that belt, man. I feel like he was, a deserving fighter in his prime, but he couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't beat Jones and he couldn't beat Cormier. So, and we'll see who they match Anthony Smith up with next. Tough dude. Very, very tough dude, well-rounded guy. So yeah, man, we'll move forward now. We'll head over to UFC 238. Like I said, man, stacked card. Let's see what we got with this card. All right, taking a look at the first fight of the night. We got Joanne, Calderwood, taking on Katlyn, the blonde fighter, Chookagian. As soon as I saw that this fight was announced, I had it capped very evenly. And as the odds came out, that proved to be so. Everyone kind of agrees. This fight's pretty much right down the middle. This isn't I've had fights that were down the middle before where I favored somebody, but, I tend to agree with the line. I think this fight can go either way, so I'm not going to sit here and throw shit at you guys and, feed you some bullshit. I think this fight can easily go either way. I'm staying away from it. If you feel like you want to bet this fight, I'm going to lean Chookagian. Chookagian's going to have the height advantage, the reach advantage. And I think that these fighters are going to sit in the middle of the cage and they're going to exchange back and forth with their little, pitter-pattering type of style. And I think it's going to kind of come off as Chookagian's getting the best of the exchanges, just based on her size, even if they go blow for blow. She's the bigger fighter in there. She's active. She has some potential. I don't ever think she'll be a top-tier fighter, but she does have some potential. Calderwood, she's already proven that, she's not really on that next level. She's a solid fighter, though. If you take a look at her resume, she won her last 2 fights, and before that, she was on a two-loss skid. But look at the girls that she's lost to, man. Jessica Andrade, the fucking champion beast. And then Cynthia Calvillo, who's a stud, an excellent grappler. That girl's a stud. She really is a top-tier fighter. So, Chookagian, she's coming off that split decision loss to Jessica Ai. I'm not the biggest fan of Ai, although she is a strong chick and she's aggressive. We'll get to her later in the co-main event. But, coming off that split decision loss, other than that, though, Chookagian, she has some decent wins. Alexis Davis, Mara Romero Barella, tough Italian jiu-jitsu practitioner fighting out of ATT. Irene Aldana, split decision. That girl Aldana, she's a tough chick, that Mexican chick, man. Lauren Murphy, a veteran. So, she's beat girls that have been around the block. And like I said, she's going to have the size advantage in this fight. I think this is her fight to win. Like I said, she has that one sore on her record, the split decision loss to Ai. But let's not act like, Joanne Calderwood didn't get armbarred by, Mariana Moraes. So let's not forget about that. Katlyn to win this fight. It's a very, very close fight. It's going to be... I think you guys should avoid this, but like I said, if you guys want to make a play on this, I would lean Chookagian. That'll be my pick. Up next, we got Darren, the Dentist Stewart, taking on Bevon Lewis. Shit, I'll cut right to the chase, man. I feel like the line on this is off. I don't really want nothing to do with this either, unless you're taking the underdog, Darren Stewart, because, right now, on average, you got Bevon Lewis at like a minus 235. Bevon's coming off a fucking nasty knockout loss to Uriah Hall. And yeah, I know Uriah Hall does do shit like that once in a while, but that was a fight that Bevon was supposed to win. This guy, top prospect, training out of Jackson Wink, training with John Jones and guys like that. He kind of dropped the ball. So, I don't know. And then you got a guy like Darren Stewart. This guy's a tough dude, man. He has good takedown defense. He can mix in some wrestling with himself, trains at the MMA clinic. Definitely has power in his hands. If he tags you, he could put you out. He was coming off that tough match against Edmund Shabazian, who I'm high on that guy. That dude is a top prospect. He's a very good fighter. And, Stewart gave him a run for his money. They were really going back and forth in that fight. Closely contested match. It was a split decision. Could have almost went either way. So, and before that, he had 2 nice finishes against Charles Byrd and Eric Spicely. So, Charles Byrd, he's kind of a similar type of fighter as Bevon Lewis in a way. So, I mean, Bevon should probably be a little bit better, but, you see where I'm going with this. I mean, do you really want to trust Bevon Lewis at a minus 235? I don't. I do still think that Bevon will get his shit together and pull this fight off, but as far as a pure value, I think we have to go at Darren Stewart. So, but I'll take Bevon Lewis to win this fight. I think he's gonna have more ways to win it. He'll be the bigger fighter in there, a little bit more well-rounded, and I think he'll pull this fight off. I think coming off his last loss, hopefully he got all the cobwebs out of his head from the knockout, and then he'll get his shit together. He trains at a great camp. I'm sure they'll have a very good game plan, and I'm sure Bevon gets it done, like I said. All right, let's take a look at this next fight. We got some more females throwing down. We got Angela Overkill Hill taking on Xiaonan Yan, tough Chinese chick. A lot of people are favoring Yan to win this fight pretty easily. And, I was one of those people at a point in time, just, a couple days back. The more I've looked into this fight, though, I do feel like this fight has the chance to play closer than a lot of people think. Don't get me wrong. I'm on this chick, Yan. She's a tough chick. Pretty good striking. She's very well-rounded. She trains very hard. If you keep up with her on her Instagram, you see the way she trains, her conditioning. She's very professional with the way she steps in the octagon. And Angela Hill is a girl that drops the ball time and time again. But she can strike. Hill, if you choose to engage her on the feet, and you want to stand up for 3 rounds and fight with her, you don't know exactly what's going to happen because Hill, like I said, she's a decent striker. She might be able to keep this fight closer than a lot of people think. In the beginning, I really thought that Yan would just run away with this in the feet. I'm not so sure. Like I said, I watched a lot of tape on these girls. I still definitely have to favor Yan to win this fight. Like I said, just very well-rounded. She's professional. She's going to come in there very well prepared. And she's very assertive with her strikes. When she starts to throw, she has good accuracy. She's going to tag you up. She's she's not scared. She's not timid. She's not going to take a back foot. So, a back step. And Angela Hill will do that. If Angela Hill feels pressured, she's probably going to circle around, stay on the outside, and be pressured towards the cage as Yan starts to tee off on her. But as I stated, I would not be that surprised if she's feeling herself after her last fight. She's coming off a victory. I saw that fight live over here in South Florida. She looked very good, man. I mean, I know it was against Jody, Escobar, who's not a good fighter, but that's a confidence builder for Hill. Hill was chasing her around the cage, just looking good, teeing off on her. She should have got a finish, but that's really not Angela's style. She's gonna try to win that point fight type of style. And, if she does have a chance to win this fight, that's how it's going to get done. She's going to maybe edge a split decision, a close decision victory. But I just don't see that happening. I think that Yan, she's going to pull this fight off. I'm checking the line now, and, Yan, she's as high as a minus 200 on some books. If I was going to play her, I would want her more around, 160, maybe 170. So I'm hoping maybe the line moves around. You can get her for right now at minus 175 on 5 dimes. So I know a lot of you guys use 5 dimes. So, that might be playable. Bovada, she's a minus 200. I don't know if that's playable. I don't really think it is at this point in time. But, we still have a couple more days into the fight. So let's see how that line moves around, see what we can get it at. But, we'll see. Yan should pull it off. I'll take Yan to win the fight. All right, flowing right through the card, getting to some of these more juicy fights. Definitely looking forward to this fight, man. This is just a perfect fight just to be right in the middle of a solid card, man. Calvin Kattar, a prospect. At this point, he's moving past prospect. He's getting up there. If he gets a victory against his opponent, Ricardo Llamas, this is really going to put him on the map. He'll start moving towards a contender. So... But Ricardo, the bully Llamas, is no joke. This guy's no pushover, well-rounded fighter, and this guy is, like I said, it's just not an easy guy to beat. So, Calvin's going to have his hands full this upcoming Saturday. Llamas, coming off a nice victory against Darren Elkins. Not a lot of people can finish Darren. So, that's a statement right there in itself because Darren is just tough as nails. Ricardo stepped up, got the finish, man. Fucking dropped him, threw some elbows on him. Before that, took 2 losses, but, against top guys. Mirsad Bektic, very high in that guy. That was a split decision loss that Ricardo had. And that fight was tough, man. Bektic was like a leech, just fucking, getting the takedowns, just slamming him around, holding him against the cage, throwing some good strikes in there. But Ricardo was game the entire time, reversed positions a few times here and there. It was, like I said, just a tough loss. Before that, he did get knocked out by Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett's a stud. Josh Emmett does that. Josh Emmett knocks out guys here and there, man. He's a very tough fighter. And then, before that, let's take a look into these 2 wins that Ricardo had because Jason Knight, okay, we know the deal with Jason Knight. I mean, he's the bare-knuckle fighter now, but Jason Knight at one point in time had some steam behind him. But really what I like to look at is the Charles Oliveira win. Charles Oliveira is fucking no joke, man. That guy is a complete stud. We just saw that again a couple weeks back. That guy, complete stud, man. So that's a big win. Before that, he loses to a guy like Max Holloway. No shame in that. Basically what I'm getting at, just this guy Llamas has been around the block, man. He's no pushover. So don't just expect that you're going to throw some money on Calvin and you're going to cash. Because Ricardo will give you a run for your money, man. So Calvin Kattar, bro, this guy's a stud. I like what he brings to the table. He's very, very calm and composed in there. If you look at his last fight against Chris Fishgold, Chris comes out, starts teeing off on Kattar with some nasty hooks. It's Chris Fishgold's first fight in the UFC at the time, and you could tell that he's out there and he's coming to get a victory, and he's coming really to take your head off. And that didn't matter, man. It didn't phase Calvin. He was very calm, composed. He ate the shots. He covered up. He circled around the cage, and he picked the right time where he wanted to engage, and he was way more precise with the striking and just flattened Chris in that fight. He looked very, very good in that fight. Very impressed with him. Really just his composure. Like I said, man, the composure, he's a professional. And I think that calmness and that composure in the cage is what's going to lead him to be a very successful UFC fighter. You take a look at his fight previous from the Fishgold fight. I mean, he got Moicano, so he loses the decision to Moicano. No shame in that. That guy, top of the game at right now, so a very good fighter. Before that, had a nasty TKO victory over Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos is a solid fighter. He has some potential, but that dude, he leaves his chin out there, As I just told him myself, I sent him a message on Instagram because I had some money on him. I like the fighter. I feel like he has a lot of potential, but needs to work on his head movement and keeping his hands up because I feel like a lot of guys are going to flatten that guy Shane. But, that was a nasty knockout by Calvin. Before that, he had a unanimous decision against Andre Fili. Andre Fili actually has really been stepping up, the last couple of years, really, in my opinion, is becoming more of a successful fighter than I thought he ever would be. So that's a pretty solid victory right there. So, Calvin's a tough dude. Right now, let's check the line. I think the line was, I think Calvin was pretty heavily favorited. He's a minus 150 on average right now across the board. You can get Ricardo around like plus 125. So, it's not horrible, but I think Ricardo is going to make this a very close fight. I don't know if I want to have money on a minus 155, 150 fighter where, who knows how this is going to play out. I do give the edge to Calvin, though. I think Calvin, I'll pick him to win this fight. I think he'll hopefully keep this fight standing and just be a little bit more smooth and slick on the feet. Ricardo's getting up there in age as well. The dude's aging, so we'll see how he, how his stamina and how his agility and all that's still holding up because he's getting up there. So this will be a good fight, man. A good fight to pay attention to and see. If you guys are putting some money on this fight, let me know. Comment below. Would like to see who's playing some money on either one of these guys because, like I said, I feel like you can go either way on this fight. So, all right, moving on. Up next, we got another female fight going down. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Alexa Grasso. This fight's actually quite interesting to me because I have a lot of history with Karolina, man. I've made some good money on her in the past. She's rose to the occasion several times. Had some big money on her against Felice Herrig. Got great odds on that. Really just had a great night. Just thanks to Karolina during that fight, because I had a lot, like I said, a lot of money on that. Celebrated, man. So, I've been happy with her in the past. I've made money on her in some other fights as well, the Jody Escobar fight. But her last fight, man, she really dropped the ball. I was very upset with her in that fight. I had some money on her against Michelle Waterson, the karate hottie. And I just feel like the same Karolina that I seen in the past didn't show up. So that kind of scared me. I usually in a position like this against a girl in Alexa Grasso, who I think is just overrated and really not that good of a fighter. I mean, she's young. She might get better each time she gets in there. But really, from what I've seen with her, just not impressed. And like I said in the past, I would probably have money on Karolina. I don't think I'm going to play her as of now. I really got to keep an eye on the line. I'm thinking about it, but Karolina back in the day would steamroll this girl, Alexa Grasso. But just from what I saw in that last fight against the karate hottie, it seemed like she didn't have that same edge. That fight was there for the taking, and she left it. She left it sitting on the plate, and, karate hottie was just scarfing down the food. She cleaned up house. She really, really rose to the occasion. Shout out to the karate hottie, man, the little cutie. She was on the Joe Rogan Experience the other week, and not too long ago. But, that's, like I said, that's the only reason why I'm hesitating on this fight. I think that Karolina has taken a step back. She's getting up there in age. She's 33 years old now. Will be 34 in a couple months. You get this girl, Alexa Grasso. She's young. Alexa Grasso, she's 25 years old. That's one thing I always say. These young fighters, you don't know what strides they're going to take. And, Grasso is coming off a tough loss, but to one of the best fighters in the world, Tatiana Suarez. So, no shame in that. Had the split decision victory over Randa Marcos, who's a tough chick, but different stylistic matchup than Karolina's going to be. Karolina is going to play right into Grasso's game. I mean, this is going to be a stand-up fight for the most part, I believe, and these girls are going to do the little pitter-patter punches in the middle of the octagon. And who do you want to have your money on? Right now the odds... We got, Karolina's a minus 115. Alexa Grasso's a minus 105. Actually, these lines got a lot closer in the last couple of days. So, you really, in my opinion, you got to make a decision, in my opinion, if you want to play Karolina. I think it's Karolina or no play. So, I don't want to have any money on Grasso. She just, something about her rubs me the wrong way when she fights in there. So, I'm going to take Karolina to win the fight, and that's a debatable potential play. So keep an eye. See, message me on Instagram, comment below to see if I play that play. All right, moving on to the next fight. Next, we got some contenders stepping up. We got Aljamain, the Funk Master Sterling, taking on Pedro Munhoz. Two guys that are rolling hot right now, coming off a couple victories. You guys know the deal with Aljamain. This guy's been looking good, man. Coming off a win against Jimmie Rivera. Before that, gets the submission knee bar against Cody Stamann, an up-and-comer. Beat Brett Johns before that. Of course, he was finished by Marlon Moraes in the fight prior to that, and that shit was fucking nasty. So, you always got to pay attention to a fight like that, because the way his lights got shut off, you got to wonder if that could happen again. That takes a toll on you. Pedro Munhoz coming off a solid win against the ex-champ Cody Garbrandt. But I saw that fight playing out just like that. I had Pedro to win that fight, underdog play. I think Cody needed more time off. I knew exactly how that fight was going to play out. They were going to brawl, they were going to engage, and Cody's chin was just, it's not going to be able to take a shot. He needs a good amount of time off. He needs to rest up, that guy. So, but before that, Pedro gets a win against Brian Caraway. Finished him. Caraway's no joke, tough dude. He had the submission guillotine choke against Rob Font. I also had him to win that fight. He was underdog in that too. So, Pedro, this guy has a lot of potential. I think people underestimate him because of his size. He's a little bit short in there, a little bit stubby. But great jiu-jitsu game. Power in his hands. I'm hoping that this fight takes place in the feet, and we can really just see who's the better striker. Because, I think it'll be a pretty evenly matched contest. Aljamain's been looking very well-rounded. His striking's, it's up there. Looking good on the feet. I'm torn on this fight, man. I really don't know. I till this second, I'm trying to really contemplate who I'm going to take. I mean, Aljamain Sterling right now is the slight favorite, around minus 125. So, I don't want to necessarily say the value's on Munhoz, because the line's very close. Aljamain's going to have the reach advantage. Shit, man. I'm going to have to go with Aljo. I think I'm going to take Aljo, man. He's running hot right now. He's going to have a little bit more size in there with the reach, and I think, he'll be able to avoid the submission game of Pedro. Aljamain has a very good jiu-jitsu game himself, training with Matt Serra up there in the Northeast. And I don't necessarily see Pedro putting him out. I mean, there's potential for Pedro to finish Aljo on the feet. Like I said, you saw what Moraes did, but I think Moraes is just a whole different beast in the feet in itself. So I'm going to take Aljo to win I'm going to say a unanimous decision, but it'll be close. Could even be like a split decision, unanimous decision. It's going to be a closely contested fight. So, yeah, we'll take Aljo to win this fight. Up next, we got Nina Ansaroff taking on Tatiana Suarez. That girl Suarez, man, I've been making money on her for a little bit now. I've been riding the wave. I knew this girl was the truth. Her wrestling is the real deal. When it comes to women's wrestling, I mean, this is about as good as it gets. So, and you got to love a female fighter that can take the other one down, hold her down, ride the rounds out, dominate the fight, because you're not going to see a lot of female fighters be able to put the other one out. So, even if the other girl gets back up for a little bit here and there, it's not like she's going to get that one little hit and steal the fight, So for the most part, the grappler is just going to dominate and be victorious. And that's been the case with Suarez. She's going out there. She's dominating these girls. She's even coming off, a finish. She finished off her last two girls. Carla Esparza, TKO'd, finished her. Carla is no joke. Before that, rear naked choked Alexa Grasso. We talked about her earlier. Not the best of fighters, but, it was a good outing by Suarez. This girl, Nina Ansaroff, man, she's tough. And she trains with the best because, her girlfriend, she's the champion she's a double champ, actually, bantamweight and featherweight champion at this point. So, Amanda Nunes. And, she's training with her, so she's training with the cream of the crop. And honestly, Nina's been looking a little bit better every time she steps in there. So, her striking's getting more and more polished. She's getting more comfortable on the feet. Pulled off the upset against Claudia Gadelha in her last fight. Surprising, but before that, she beats Randa Marcos, Angela Hill. She's beating these girls. A couple fights back prior, like 5-6 fights ago, she was losing to girls like Justine Quiche and Juliana Lima. But I think really it was just where she was at that point of the game. With her mixed martial arts experience, she has a strong judo background, but I think she's really getting more comfortable with her MMA game right now. Training over at American Top Team, she's reaching her prime. And I think that this fight is going to be more of a test for Suarez than people think. Don't get me wrong, I got Suarez to win this fight, and I got Suarez probably to be a future champion. But, Nina is no joke. And, she is no, I'll tell you this right now, she ain't no fucking, what's the line at right now? Where's it at? She ain't no plus fucking 550, plus 600. I mean, I'm not putting my money up against her in that position. With female fighters, no way. So, for those of you guys that are parlaying Suarez, I mean, good luck. I mean, I guess it got a little bit better as of recently. It was even worse. But I just don't see the mindset to go out and do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm the type of guy that, I'll parlay big lines together when I know I'm going to make money. But who's to say? What happens if all of a sudden Nina's able to stuff some takedowns and, she's able to win the exchanges on the feet and pulls off, a crazy upset? Who's to say? And, I mean, what are you really going to win? The amount of money you have to put up to win just a little bit, I just don't see the value in that. So just stay away from this fight, and if you really want to, if you're one of those types of people that likes to, have a little bit of money where you can make some good money on those big dogs, why not put some money on, Nina? She's a tough fighter. She's a capable fighter, too. A very capable fighter. Strong judo hips. Maybe somehow she's able to keep it on the feet, stuff some takedowns and then win the exchanges on the feet. But definitely got Suarez to win this fight. Like I said, probably looking at a future champion. Just a real, stud of a fighter. So, yeah, we'll take Suarez to win the fight. All right, here we go. We got the big boys throwing down now. We got some heavyweight fucking fighters, man. Bam Bam Tuivasa taking off Blagoy Ivanov. They call him Baga. Tough dude from Bulgaria. You guys know his story. I've told you about it before, man. This guy's a tough fucking dude. Getting stabbed at fucking bars in Bulgaria. One of the very few men that actually beat Fedor Emelianenko in a Sambo combat tournament, combat fight. This guy is a very capable fighter. And 17-2 record. Didn't look that impressive against, Junior Dos Santos in his UFC debut. But, Junior, it was a bad stylistic matchup. Junior, picked him apart. And, he had the reach advantage, great footwork. And it was a bad matchup. He wasn't able to use his wrestling and get the fight to the feet. Junior ain't going to allow shit like that to happen, But then after that, takes on Ben Rothwell. Probably a fight that he lost, to be honest. But, he won the fight. So let's just be honest. It definitely had to have been close. And, Ben Rothwell's no fucking joke. And the point of the matter is that this guy, Blagoy, he's going to keep it. He's going to keep these fights close. He's tough. He can take a shot. He's not the type of guy that's just going to get put out. He'll eat shots. He has this little pitter-patter type of striking. He'll move his head, try to tag you back with a little counter punches. And I think that this is a good matchup for him because he has the fight experience. Ty has some power, but I don't see Ty putting him out. So Ivanov's gonna be there for the whole fight. And Ty has some problems with his cardio, in my opinion, and his grappling as well. You saw what JDS did to Ty, just sat right on his chest and fucking pounded him out. Ivanov really hasn't been implementing his wrestling game, his sambo wrestling as much, but I mean, who's to say that Ivanov doesn't get a hold of Ty's leg and get this fight down to the mat and then just outclass him on the mat, maybe get the finish. Maybe not, maybe even by sub actually, maybe by sub, but most likely probably, pounding him out if he's able to get a good position, get on top of him. Straight up, I think maybe Ty has some more potential. He's young and maybe he rises to the occasion. He's 26 years old. Maybe he takes a big step up right now. But, this was a fight actually I was looking to play too, man. And I didn't jump on it at the time. And now the value's really not there. I was looking at Ivanov about a week ago and he was plus 155 or something like that. And I really saw the value on him. As of right now, you're only going to be able to get him at best like plus 115, plus 120. I don't know if that, it's not so much a value play at that point. You're taking him straight up because you think he's the better fighter. And, I wouldn't argue that because, like I said, he's going to have more options to win this fight. But I think Ty is also playable, minus 130, 135. If you like Ty, play him, play the guy. But, I'm going to say Ivanov steps up. And I think he's going to pull this fight off. I think he's going to be the more experienced professional fighter. And I think Ty still needs to put in some work. And I think he needs to make some changes in his game. I think he needs to diet better. Stop chugging beer at the fucking shoes and all that shit. I think that's going to hold him back from beating a professional guy like Ivanov. So, yeah, we'll take the Bulgarian to win this fight. We got straight fireworks coming up in this next one. Petr Yan taking on Jimmie Rivera. Peter's nickname fits in perfect, man. No mercy. This guy is an absolute beast. Will continuously walk you down and continuously smash you. You don't feel bad about it, man. This guy's coming in there to take your head off. Complete stud. This guy is just full of potential, man. Really high in this guy. I've been watching him for a while, man, since his ACB days. This guy is a stud. Only has one loss and, got his redemption in the rematch. Looked fucking like a beast against John Dodson in that last fight. Poor fucking John, man. This guy, Petr is ruthless in there, bro. Pulling his hair. He does whatever the fuck he needs to do to get a victory, man. He ain't in there, just playing by the rules, just trying to eke out a victory. This guy's in there to rip your eyeballs out and fucking TKO you. So, gotta love a fighter like that. Very technical, well-rounded, man. Will stuff your takedowns. And if you give an opportunity up to him, he'll fucking whip you down to the ground, get on top of you. Striking is fucking looking crisp, powerful. He's been putting a lot of time over in Thailand, working on his Muay Thai to this day. Over there, I think he's training with Tiger Muay Thai. This guy, he's going to look better every time he steps into the octagon. 26 years old. And then he's fighting a guy, Jimmie Rivera, El Terror. This guy had a lot of potential at one point in time, and all of a sudden, he takes on Thomas Almeida, which a lot of us didn't realize at the time. That guy was overrated, man. That guy was losing a little bit of his game, man. In that fight, Almeida had some moments where he stepped up and almost took over that fight. Jimmie did pull through, get the victory in that fight, but that was a sign of things to come because after that, Marlon just decapitates him. I can't wait we'll start talking about Marlon here in a little bit, but that guy, fucking stud, just completely decapitates Jimmie in that fight. After that, Jimmie ekes out the unanimous decision against John Dodson, whatever. And then after that, he fucking loses to Aljamain Sterling, and he just really didn't look that good. He just doesn't look like the same fighter that he seemed to have the potential to be at one point in time. And I think this fight's going to play out with Petr just marching him down, eating Jimmie's shots, and possibly getting the TKO victory. I don't know if Jimmie's going to be able to withstand what Petr's going to bring to him. Don't get me wrong, though. There's some openings in this fight. Petr, he does eat shots. When he walks you down, he's looking to give you his shots, but he'll take them back in return. And Jimmie does have power. So, for example, if you look at Petr's one fight against that Korean dude, Jin Soo Sun, at one point in time, Jin Soo Sun was tagging Petr up too, which was it's a little surprising, but Petr knew what he was doing, and he eventually broke him down and started to smash him. But like I said, Petr will eat shots. Does Jimmie have that one shot in him? Can he connect on the chin and put Petr out? I don't think so. I think Jan has just a stone chin, and I think he's going to eat whatever shots Jimmie throws at him, and I think Jimmie won't be able to take the beating that Petr will put on him. So the line, is it playable? I mean, Peter's like a -1, 335, 345. It's high. It's high. I would have loved to have grabbed this fight in the 200s somewhere. It doesn't seem to be the case. If you want to roll the dice on the underdog and Jimmie, getting him at plus 275, 260 or whatever, you can get him out in that range. If you're a believer in him, if you're a fucking Jimmie fan, if you think he can get it back on track, go ahead and take a shot because you're getting good odds. Jimmie's 29 years old. Maybe he cleaned some things up. Maybe he had some shit going on. The Tiger Showman fighter, man, he's a stud too, but I think Petr's going to be on a whole nother level. So look for Jan to really, just step up and just fucking capture this victory. I'm excited to watch this fight. Let's see what let's see how Petr looks in this fight. I want to see him look impressive, and I want to see him get a very, very big fight right after this. So Petr Jan to finish Jimmie Rivera. Up next, this is what I'm talking about. I love breaking down fights like this. In my opinion, this should be the co-main event. I know the other fight's for a belt, but fuck that. This is the co-main event of the evening. You got Tony El Cucuy Ferguson taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Just pumped for this fucking fight, man. What can you say about El Cucuy? Let's start with him. Just an absolute beast. This guy doesn't lose fights. He's on at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fight win streak. Just beating the who's who, very solid fighters. The Danny Castillos, the Gleason T-Bows, the Josh Thompsons, working his way up to the Edson Barbosas, the RDAs, Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis. This guy, he's a fighter's fighter, man. This guy goes in there, probably, if not, some of the best cardio, if not the best cardio in the game. So this guy is not going to gas out. You're going to have him from the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight. He's going to fight for your dollar. Gotta love a fighter like that, man. That's just never out of it. His hands aren't going to get heavy. This guy's going to be in there to fucking fight. So El Cucuy, just a straight fucking beast. Taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone, who's been looking very good as of recently. This guy's been rising to the occasion, coming off 3 consecutive victories that, a lot of people didn't think he was going to get. Underdog in the Alexander Hernandez fight, underdog in the Ali Quinta fight. Cowboy's been looking good. Gets the armbar victory before those two against Mike Perry. Shit, what can we say about Cowboy? This guy's been around forever. I've been watching him since the WEC days. I've been a big fan of his. Not going to lie, man, I faded him a few times, especially like in that little run where after Jorge Masvidal put him out, started to fade him. I took Robbie in that fight. I won that bet. But that actually ended up being a very closely contested fight. After that, Darren Till just fucking puts him out. That's when I kind of threw the towel in on Cowboy. I thought he lost it. But, he proved me wrong. Comes back. It's a TKO victory against Yancy Medeiros. But Medeiros is a tough dude, but he's not on the level. His skill level and the stress is just not really there. Then loses again to Leon Edwards. I'm looking at this guy. He's lost 4 out of his last fights at the time. I thought Perry would have the power to put it on him where he would cower. Because that's what Cowboy did in the past. We've seen that happen with him. He gets cornered. RDA did that to him. What's his name? Darren Till basically did that in a way, even though he ended up putting him to sleep. When Cowboy gets cornered and he gets teed off on, I've seen him cower and throw the towel in mentally. So when that happens, I can never forget that. I don't care if you turn it around the next fight. I know that potential is still there. And that's why I faded him in his last couple fights, even though he's proven me wrong. But I'm going to fade him again. I'm taking Tony Ferguson to win this fight. I think that Tony will eat whatever Donald throws at him. Tony is susceptible to counter punches, but like you saw it in the Pettis fight. But here's the thing. It comes with the hands. Donald's hands, they're all right. Not a lot of power in them. I mean, he mostly sets up his striking with his kicks, his knees. He likes to use everything. And I think that I don't see Cowboy catching him with that big overhand hook or something and dropping him. And I think Tony will avoid all the other stuff and will eventually just break down Cowboy with his pace. He'll mix in the body shots. You guys, when you're watching the footage of Tony, look how he mixes in his body punches then with his punches to the head. Mixes them in beautifully. He'll crack Cowboy to the body. Cowboy's not going to like it. If the fight goes to the ground, both of them have excellent jiu-jitsu games. I don't think the fight's going to go that way. I'm hoping it's not, at least. I hope someone doesn't snatch a sub. I want to see this fight take place in the feet. And obviously I want to see Tony win this fight because I have some money on him. So I want to see Tony corner Cowboy, just brutalize him. I want to see this fight reach like the second, third round. And I want Tony to really just put it on him and make it a blood fest. Maybe Tony will mix in some elbows. And we'll be going to the bank straight after that, capitalizing on another bet. So, yeah, man, I got Tony Ferguson to win this fucking fight, man. I'm excited for this fight. But shout out to Cowboy, man. I'm a fan of Cowboys. So, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. This is the spot for me to make some money on. The line got way more playable. I grabbed Tony at great odds. Let's see what the line has been any movement. Yeah, there's been some more money coming back on Tony. At one point in time, there was a lot of money that came in on Cowboy. And you could have got Tony almost at a minus 140. Going back up to like a minus 155 now. But I think the value's on Tony. I can see Tony being a minus 185, really, realistically. So, don't fade Tony because you think his knee's hurt or whatnot. I mean, his knee should only be healed up better than the last fight. He's had more time to recover from it. Knee held up fine in the last fight after, 3-4 months. Tony's a straight Wolverine, this guy. So, yeah, Tony Ferguson to win this fight, and I think he finishes Cowboy. Another woman's fight here at UFC 238. We got Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jessica Ai. I'm not going to spend too much time on this fight. I know it's the co-main event of the night, but, first off, the line is ridiculous again on this fight. Shevchenko, a minus 1,300, minus 1,450. This is fucking ridiculous. Minus 1,500. Jessica Ai, you can get her at plus 850. This is definitely a dog or pass type of fight. You just can't parlay something at those types of odds. Don't get me wrong. Valentina is a beast. I think she is one of the best female fighters in the world. Very high on her. I think she should easily win this fight. But, Jessica Ai, yeah, she's not the best of fighters. But, she's an athletic, strong, tough chick. And, you got to be careful. For the amount of money you would have to put on Valentina to win pennies, you have to be careful. Jessica Ai, she's coming off some victories too. Before that she lost 4 matches, but she just won her last 3. Jessica Rose Clark, middle of the pack type of girl as of now. Katlyn Chookagian, we talked about her earlier, split decision victory, the blonde fighter. Before that, she beats, Kalandra Feria, split decision, another close fight. This is Shevchenko's fight to win. The girl is just a complete stud. She's just completely well-rounded. Striking, her Muay Thai is ridiculous. Grappling is just, great. Takedown defense, everything. She'll probably keep this fight on the ground and just absolutely piece up Jessica. She needs to get a finish, though, in this spot. As a favorite at those types of odds, she needs to rise to the occasion. Get a fucking finish, put Ai out of there. Send Ai back to the bottom of the pack. She shouldn't really be fighting for titles, I guess. Send her back to where she belongs. I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. It is what it is. And hopefully there'll be some better competition for Shevchenko moving forward. Because this, you don't want title fights at odds like this. It's not good for the game. Moving forward, hopefully we'll have some more capable title challengers because... no disrespect to Jessica Ai, but this is not the most exciting fight to look forward to in a championship matchup in the UFC. So, all right, man, let's move on. We'll move on, guys. Going to the main event of the night. I'm pumped for this fight. We got Henry, Alls I See Is Gold, Cejudo taking on Magic Marlon Moraes. Henry's trying to be one of the other guys or girls to reach that double champ status. Is he going to be able to do it against a guy like Marlon Moraes, a straight stud, a guy that trains with Frankie Edgar, Eddie Alvarez, just training with some of the best guys in the game, training up there with Ricardo Almeida with his jiu-jitsu game, so his jiu-jitsu is just on the level if this fight hits the ground. His takedown defense has always looked to be, top-notch. Striking, what do I even need to say about his striking? This guy just puts guys out left and right, man, just lethal on the feet. Had that one split decision loss against Rafael Assunção in his UFC debut. Got the rematch, looked like a stud in that fight, man. Just got the submission guillotine, fucking hurt Rafael on the feet. So, gets redemption in that fight. And other than that, it's just been beating everybody. I mean, you look at his last 20-something fights, holy shit, this guy he wins fights. That's what he does. Very, very deserving of a title fight opportunity. So, Henry Cejudo, I think he's deserving as well. After beating guys like TJ Dillashaw, as TJ Dillashaw was fucking cheating, doing all that fucking bullshit he was doing, knocks him out in that fight very quickly. Before that, smothers Demetrius Johnson, gets that victory, beats Sergio Pettis before that, Wilson Hayes, tough guys. Then he had the split decision loss to Joseph Benavidez. That was a fight, he could have easily won. I kind of scored Henry winning that fight. So, I mean, really, his real only loss could be that Demetrius Johnson where he got finished, but he redeemed himself. So, Henry's a stud. He's going to be a little bit undersized in this fight. I know he's been looking jacked up. There's been some pictures of him coming out. He's been looking jacked. But Marlon is going to be the natural, bigger fighter in there. And I think that's going to help Marlon with his takedown defense, just being the bigger dude in there. If they're leaning against the cage, I think that will help Marlon out enough where Marlon will be able to push the fight back to its feet and really be able to utilize his striking where he has a clear advantage, in my opinion. Henry did knock out TJ Dillashaw with that punch, but okay, I mean, overhand hook, he caught him. He's an aggressive guy. It wasn't the most polished, skillful type of striking. Marlon, he ain't going to leave his chin up there, man. Puts his hands up, great defense. And if you swing an overhand right at Marlon the way that you swung at TJ, if you miss, don't be surprised when you have a fucking leg whipping around the side of your neck, putting you unconscious. So, I'm taking Marlon to win this fight. I'll cut to the chase right now. I'm taking Marlon Moraes to win this fight. It's one of my plays. I just think that Marlon he's a great fighter, man. This guy, he trains with the best of them. Great coach. And like I said, he's the more natural, bigger fighter. I think it's his time. It's his weight class. Cejudo needs to go back down to the flyweight division, and he could be the kingpin of that division. No problem with that. Demetrius is gone. You don't have to worry about that rematch or anything like that. So, I mean, it's your division to run with, if Dana White allows that division to still take place. I mean, I don't know. There's been some question with what's going on with that. But I don't see the bantamweight division being Henry's division. Yes, he knocked TJ out. I think if they ran that fight back, I think TJ would win that fight. So, Marlon Moraes, just a fucking stud, a true stud. Finishing top guys too, man. Finishing Rafael Assunção, Jimmie Rivera, Aljamain Sterling. I mean, we talked about that earlier. That fucking knee was brutal, just brutal. I mean, when he finished these guys, they go unconscious, He doesn't just TKO guys, when he hits guys, he fucking puts them to sleep, as though, the good old, who the fuck is that guy once said. So, yeah, man, that's one of my big plays, Marlon Moraes. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think, who you got in the main event. I know a lot of you guys have Henry. I know it. I see the line, and I've been getting some messages. Some of you guys are a believer in Henry. And I get it. Henry's a tough guy. He has heavy hands. He has the Olympic, wrestling background. You got to love that. But, when you have such great wrestling, but you're undersized, sometimes it kind of nullifies. At least I'm hoping that's what will be the case. So, we got to stay tuned to see what happens. But again, you guys, comment below, man. I want to know who you guys are playing. I want to see you. Tell me your guys' bets. Comment below. Appreciate everyone's support out there, all the new subscribers. I'm telling you, you guys are going to have great content still to come. For those of you guys that follow my Instagram, you saw I bumped into Andre Sukumtat on the beach after last Saturday's UFC event. It was pretty cool. It was an early card, so I was able to shoot straight to the beach, kick the shit with Andre Sukumtat out there, posted a picture on my Instagram. Follow me at MMA MMA Fortune Teller _ on Instagram. Got the Instagram kicking off. You know, they took down my old account, but the new one's already jumping, creeping up on 1,400. It'll be back back where it was in no time. I got some really big things coming up in the future. Stay tuned. You'll see I got some things in the work right now. So stay tuned for that. Comment below. Subscribe if you're listening, guys. I appreciate all your support. Enjoy the fights, man. UFC 238. Enjoy the fights, brothers. The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.